Welcome back to Tools and Track. In this episode, we're going to have to make a shopping list. And it's not going to be cheap. In the last episode, we managed to get most of the rear subframe assembly stripped out and ready for assessment. We know many parts are going to be rusted. We're going to see if there's any chance of blasting this back and painting it and saving parts, or if it's all gone. These are the lateral arms. Now, they are absolutely solid in these, and the bushes are starting to go. Similarly, the ABS retention bolts, totally gone, and the brackets for that, absolutely tushed. I did notice something though that's quite interesting about this. I was like, well, I need to get a left and a right. They're symmetrical, which is actually pretty cool. We're going to have to try and save this. I don't really see any reason not to keep the bracket that mounts into the car, although we have lost a handbrake mount on here. I can probably rectify that in some way or shape or form. Next up, cover plates for the diff cradle. Nothing to these, they're just plate steel. We'll get these buffed back. Threads are all good, captive nuts are all good. These will paint and save and live another day. But what about the thing they attach to? Here's a diff cradle. It is, again, crusty. Looking a bit sorry for itself, but it's more or less intact. I will say this though, the bushes don't look great. There's a fair old amount of petrification going on there. There's various weights and bump that's on the inside of this. I don't even know what it does, but it's crusty, and if I don't need to take it off, I'm just going to paint over it and leave it in place. The big question on everyone's lips, the bit that scraps men in IMPREZA, the actual rear subframe. Well, I've had a deeper dive on it. Come have a look at this. The bushes for mounting the diff in the back, well, they could do with getting punched out in place, but I think anything that takes a rubber bush in this is due a change. Same goes for the mountings to put them onto the car. If we could press them out, we could probably save this. However, when we flip it upside down, we see that things inside have not fared quite so well. So yes, it looks crusty and things flake off, but that's always the case when you've got pressed sheet steel. The issue I've got, this bit here, which is intact, is completely gone on the other side. That's dead. Similarly, there's bits of webbing and things here that are just completely starting to break up and fall off. This subframe is just a wee bit too far gone. So, we're going to have to look into possible alternatives. This is not breaking apart any further from where it is at the moment. The bolt's gone completely. So, it is more or less fused with the hub at the moment. So, I'm going to try and rework as much as I possibly can and save the hub. But at the moment, it ain't looking pretty. That's going to take a bit of thought, probably a bit of ingenuity, and a lot of brute force. This bush, surprisingly okay. With a new bolt, these arms, which are completely shot, would be easily replaced as well. And the whole bar lengths are actually okay. Small blessings. As for the rest of the hub, I'd quite like to save it. Bearings are fine, the shafts come out okay. I'll stipulate that. The shafts come out this one okay. On the other one it's not quite the same story. Whew. Light this isn't. This drive shaft steadfastly refuses to come out from the hub. I've had this in a few IMPREZAs in the past. I'm not entirely sure, short of corrosion, why this is. I suspect torque loading, something, who knows. So what we're going to have to do here is douse this in some penetrant as a first case. I should have shares in this mob by now. Or at least, they should be sending me some freebies. So I've bought about 20 cans of this shit so far. I'm going to leave that to bake for, I don't know, 10 minutes. And then we're going to get the hammer out. If you're ever going to hammer one of these out, by the way, don't just do that. We'll never get a nut back on again. So, that bolt is now truly dead, and this will not come out without a lot of heat. That has been oxy-acetylene because it ain't coming out otherwise. Onwards.
Well, hi, I have dropped by just for a wee flying visit to say hello because I have my own disaster at home at the moment in the form of giving my downstairs neighbour a shower every time we use the bathroom. So I'm just popping in to say hi and see how Tommy's getting on with this magnificent piece of rust with some blue and some panties. How's it going?
It's not bad. Do you know, actually, it's a good thing you're here because I've just realised we're 3 episodes in. We've not named this thing yet. Everything gets a name. That's Shelley. Yeah. We've got Noisy Boy. I mean, we've got to get a vibe for something, man.
Bit bucket.
What?
Bit bucket, because it's in bits and it's a bucket.
Wow.
And bit bucket is an IT thing.
Well, that worked really well when we did de-rust for all the 3 people that got that.
I didn't see those people. They were. See what you did there.
So, in the absence of me having to defer to IT chat, if anyone has a good name for this, given what you've seen over 3 episodes, hit us up in the comments below.
I see you've got the stock rear lights on. That's good.
Yeah, no, we did that in episode 1.
Tremendous.
Yeah. So, it makes a difference.
It looks like a classic IMPREZA.
It's good. Hopefully it will.
I must be honest, I'm glad it's not that colour. I know you had a car in that colour.
I did,
but I'm not a fan.
Yeah, aye.
I'm not a fan of that green.
Do you want to review what I've been doing for the wall?
Let's look, mate.
Let's get into the nitty gritty. I've been buffing.
Buffing. What is that?
That is part of the
Diff mount.
diff mount. But yeah, that's ready for paint.
Nice.
Other things that are painted are this. Look,
Hubs.
your hub. There we go.
And
guard. And amazingly, look, I got the bolt out.
Mate, that guard is stronger than most of that car.
Do you know why?
Why?
The brake caliper actually mounts this. I was stunned by this, by the way. The brake caliper mounts onto the guard.
That explains why it's not thin metal.
Thicker than my arse. So yeah, that's saved. The bearing is good and it's ready to go back on the car.
Excellent.
First bit we've actually saved. I'm having a debate about this bush. There's also been a substantial order of bits which are going to be hopefully arriving later in this episode, which we'll have a look through as well, including that subframe.
Yes, that does look a bit pumped.
It's absolutely toast. So.
You know the rust is bad when it's got various colours. But see when it gets to this.
That's the end. That's the one.
This is the end. This is the end.
So yeah, so what we're going to do here is address the other one of these. So
awesome, man.
Allow me to explain. So, what's the difference?
It's not prepped and this is humped, whatever this is.
That holds 2 wishbones on. Now, there's 2 singular arms that form the lower wishbone, and they're independent because you've also got a trailing arm. Which
so it's more like the rear end set up in your BMW.
Yeah, exactly that. So I managed to get the arms off by
cut them off.
Just chop them off.
Yeah.
That was sort of the way that went. So now we're at a stage where we need to get this bolt out.
This is from the rear, isn't it? Of course.
Yeah, because we're doing the rear.
Yeah.
As per.
The fact that it's the rear subframe.
That might be the bearing. So the reason for that is, you'll note that this now no longer has a drive shaft in it, whereas earlier it did. I tried to press that drive shaft out with a 10-ton press.
Wow.
And it wouldn't move. So I had to pass it over to somebody else who has a 20-ton press, and I'm going to imagine that when it hit 19 tons, it eventually removed the shaft. The problem is it's obviously
Splines a little twisted.
Probably toasted the bearings in there while it's done it. So yeah.
Does the shaft come out intact?
Yeah.
That's slow.
Yeah, but obviously it's not left the hub that is. So I might need to add rear bearing set into the to-do list. That is not fun. So, what is it all the TikTokers say? How it started versus how it's going? Well, it didn't start particularly strong, so it can't be any worse. Let's have a look. There's an amount of rust, but I am stunned to say there's also a significant amount of not rust, if that makes sense. What we've done is anything that's looked flaky has been hit with a wire wheel. So there's some bits we still need to get to, which, you know, I won't actually get into, but most of the big chassis leg stuff is showing a wee bit of corrosion, but it's still very much solid. And that story is repeated pretty much everywhere. Now, obviously there's bits here I'll need to do a bit more disassembly just to flatten back, but I'm confident that for the most part we're going to be okay. Problems areas. We always knew this bit, the transit block for the fuel lines going through, that's widened out to where wider than it should be, so we'll probably need to put a wee stitch weld in here, a wee panel, just to bring that back to life. Other bits, blisters, I've taken back. They look pretty good. However, the other side's not quite so smart. That's the fuel overflow valve thing. I've not quite taken that out yet because I just haven't got around to it. So we've got the last of the fuel tank straps off, which is good. And most of the stuff over here looks okay as well. That much similar to that's the brakes, where the brakes come through the floor. Similar to the fuel transit lines, I think that's probably going to need a wee touch up bit of plate put in. That looks roughly the same as what this one did before we got into it. So I don't think we're going to have any of the chassis leg stuff we're not going to have problems with really. Most of the stuff that's been hidden by components is actually incredibly fresh looking. I think we'll hit this with some rust prevention though before the tank goes back in. But let's get into the big problem stuff. Oh yeah, that's bad. So this is the offside. This is the driver's side chassis leg at the rear. Now I don't know why, of all of the things, usually the passenger side gets hit worse than the driver's side, but in this one I've noticed similar things with the big man's Mazda MX-5 as well. But that's straight through. That was that's a captive nut for the anti-roll bar. Those two there, that's gone. So we're always having to cut that out. I know why that popped. Obviously there's been water ingress behind it from this hole, and the corrosion's just killed that thread. So that was the only bolt we popped, incredible enough, that's had a captive nut, apart from that one in the subframe, but we obviously had to chop holes in the boot floor to get to it. But yeah, it's not pretty. So I think we've obviously got an inner strengthening bar, that's pretty meaty. So that's okay. We could do a lot of things, but if I'm being honest, the only proper thing is to cut this out and start again. I don't know if this fuel overflow is supposed to have a wee rubber. There's a rubber on the outside, I can't really see it because of the light, but I'd imagine there should have been a rubber on the inside, but anyway there's not. So I suspect, could water have got in here and caused all of this? Maybe, that could be a cause. Unsure, but one way or another, it's dead and it needs to get replaced. This is the underseal stuff that comes from factory. Those leaves like crazy, horrible spider leg type things. So I'm bogging, and I'm not even halfway done. I'm going to make a decision as to whether or not I take off all the underseal or just the chassis leg sort of main areas, and we try and do a blend in. But as you can see, that is how much rust we've got. I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be worse. I genuinely looked at that and thought there's going to be holes everywhere. I am stunned that the majority of the chassis, i.e. the bodywork, that's alright. All the major strength components, they seem to still be intact. The problem is everything that attached to them, as we established, was goosed. You can see there the last bit that we had painted that we managed to save, that's ready to go back on now. I also need to go onto eBay and buy a whole lot of other things. But the good thing is, I've got a pretty good idea of how much I need to buy. So, tank, subframe, anti-roll bar, gubbins. We're also going to have to deal with brakes, hubs, all that other stuff, but that's going to come in later episodes. For the moment, I'm going to take the rest of this back as far as I can, and in the next episode, well, let's see if we can start putting things back together again and bring this bad boy back to life. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, oh God, you know what to do. Everybody rattling up the side of the screen right now, they're Patreons. They are truly awesome supporters of the channel. If you want to be that level of awesome, patreon.com/toolsandtrack. In the meantime, I'm going to let my fingers recover from this, probably go work on some low cost, and we'll be back again soon. Thanks for watching, guys.
Buy a house, they said, and then what you can do is lose all of your money that you would have spent on the things you want to spend it on, and have no money left, and hi.
I don't finish
That's all.
No, finish it.